ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 135 of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carcillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Joining my best friend the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, how are you doing on this Wednesday evening?
That is a great question, Ray. It's a loaded question. I'm happy to be here with you. I look forward to this show every week. I always say that the 200 podcasts I do a year, this is 50 of them. And this is like my dessert every night when I get to do it. I honestly wish we could get paid so we could do this show every single day during your drive time, 6 to 8 a.m. on WLEE or WRAY, Phila, Los Angeles. But we don't. We're here now with you live people on Twitch.tv. As always, if you're listening to the record of this, the podcast of this, we are doing this live on Twitch every single week at 9 p.m., typically on Tuesdays. Sometimes it moves to Wednesdays. But we love having the audience. And we love the people who do this replay. I know people watch the replays on Twitch. Matt Cavalieri, who I always mention, I'm going to mention him early, so I don't have to wait till the end of the episode. Matt, you can stop listening now if you want, because I mentioned you.
Nope, keep playing, Matt. Help for money. Helps the numbers. Keep playing.
He wakes up and he watches your replay, and then we got people listen to the podcast. I love our audience, Ray. I do. I love that we found this, and we got some cool stuff to expand it. Right at the top of the show, we should pitch this, Ray. What's going on this Friday?
Friday, Streamlounge.io, we once again are doing our weekly watch along. We're doing a doubleheader to catch up with Hawkeye, episodes 3 and 4. And then this will be before we take a break, but we're also doing something really cool is that if you join us there at Streamlounge.io, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to do some stuff for charity. Just by showing up, Streamlounge is going to be very generous and going to make a donation to Child's Play in our name and their name. And of course, so they don't know, Child's Play, as Lee is constantly reminding us, it is not the movie. It is a great charity that is basically donates games and toys to Children's Hospital across North America. It's a very worthy cause. It's a lot, for those of you who know, obviously Twitch does a lot with Child's Play. It's a very big. It is the charity that gamers think of when we try to do something. So. Yes, join us on Streamlounge, and if you donate while in Streamlounge, if you show up, we'll donate. We will donate. Well, Streamlounge will donate, and then if you donate anything donated there, we'll also go to them. So
I want to reiterate: if you show up, you do not have to spend any money to show up. You do not have to do anything but donate your time and download the Electron app at Google Chrome. You just search for go to Streamlounge.io and download the app. It's not going to take your information or anything like that. If you show up to our stream, we're donating money to Child's Play. All right. And if you donate during the stream, we're going to donate that too. All proceeds for the rest of the month are going to Child's Play. Ray has been very, very gracious in doing that. And obviously we're trying to get people over to Streamlounge. And here's the thing. Above all this, you won't regret it. You're going to love these watch alongs with us. We have a great time with our audience there, but save yourself the time now. Go to streamlounge.io on Chrome, download the app. You can see how it works. It takes Ray, like 5 minutes max to get everything set up. And
setting up an account is as easy as setting up a Twitch account. It's free, it's easy. It's king. So all you got to do is just show up. I know Dark Stroke. Yes, the Child's Play movie, we just talked about it. Yes, Child's Play, again for the 100th time, is a charity that donates toys and games to children's hospitals across North America.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Dark Stroke in chat mentioned that every time we bring this charity up, I say the same thing. I just like Chucky. It's Chucky. No, it's not. You can look it up.
Not Chucky.
If you're in the chat, I just put the link in there. If you're listening, streamlounge.io on a Google Chrome browser on your computer. Check it out. Download the app. We don't have to keep talking about it.
Yeah, actually, it's on any browser now.
You can actually
go on any browser.
There you go.
Go to streamlaunch.io and download it, and you can download it to your desktop, and it works great. So, so there you go. So that's our cheap plug of the night. We got a great episode for you, though, guys.
That's not a cheap plug. It's a generous plug. Anyway, we got a good show tonight.
Anyway, Speaking of this, we have a great show. We've got now Randall talking about John Gruden. Yeah, I know. I get it, guys. We get it. We get the jokes. We get the jokes about the name of the charity. It's a very good charity. Okay. Anyway, we got a great show for you tonight. We got baseball, we got football, we got a lot of video game stuff. Tomorrow, before we're recording, tomorrow is the video game awards. which we'll do a full breakdown. Yeah, we'll do a full breakdown next week. The Game Awards, of course, which is a bloated mess every year, but usually there are some big announcements out of it.
Did you just call me Blob? No, I said Bob. That's what I think of the Game Awards. That scene was about the level of. He said Bob and Blob in the same sentence. Wolverine.
Yeah, it's the Game Awards is. And I get it. It is a last minute push by a lot of video game companies to get people to buy their stuff before the holidays. But it's also it's capitalism gone wrong in a way, right? Like it's 3.5. It's a 3.5 hour commercial. Let's be honest.
It's whose line is it anyway? Where the games don't matter and the points matter even less, or something. Whatever they say there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just one of those things where the awards are secondary. It's really about the commercials, and that's why I never liked the show. Yeah. So there you go. And of course we got a lot of comic book stuff happening this week. We're kicking things off with the second pair of episodes 3 and 4 of Hawkeye. These were huge. Awesome. Obviously, things are really picking up. The third episode introduces us to Echo at the end of episode 2. We got the tease of Echo. And then obviously episode 3 kicks off with her origin story, who she is, why she's doing what she's doing. Very true to the comics in that, she's working for organized crime. They hint that it is the Kingpin. But
I think they more than just hint at it, to be fair.
Yeah. They without saying it, they call him her uncle, and they show a large man picking her up from martial arts practice, I think it was, or school. But so I believe, and also again, her dad was part of organized crime. Basically, when her dad dies, just like in the comics, she basically kind of takes his place, and so. And then obviously for the convenience of everything, they just happened to make it the Tracksuit Mafia. So they cut out some of the fat, obviously, from her origin story, really streamlined things down to fit into the MCU, and it makes a lot of sense. They did a really, really great job there. Also, by the way, but you have to mention that she operates, or her father operated out of a chop shop called Fat Man Auto Repair. And for those of you who don't know, obviously Fat Man is a derogatory term used by Spider-Man and a lot of Kingpin adversaries over the years. So it's kind of another nod to him. So it was a really good episode. You finally start to see Kate and Hawkeye start to gel a little bit. And we also in episode 3 start to see, obviously, Jack starts to get implicated a bit more, and that leads into the cliffhanger ending, which leads us right to episode 4, which I hate to say it.
Yeah, before we get into that, can we talk about 3 before we get into 4?
Yeah, you want to talk about 3? Yeah, we'll talk about 3
Yeah,
first,
so what I want to talk about 3 is some of the incredible things happen in 3. One is one of the coolest cinematic and cinematography shots I've ever seen.
The car chase. Yes.
Yeah, so this is one of those things. So Ray and I grew up in broadcasting and film, so we're really into this stuff. But for those of you that you saw that scene where the camera keeps rotating inside the car when they're escaping after a great joke about not taking a 78 Challenger or whatever it was.
The Challenger.
But that was Ray. This is one of those scenes. It's like I'm starting to see man, we have come so far with technology here. I honestly could not tell. I'm gonna guess that was green screen. But I honestly could not tell if it was green screen or they had a rotating camera inside the car. And I cannot wait to see how they did that. My guess is that there were a lot of cuts there that we didn't know about. I don't think that was one continuous shot. But incredible chase scene, incredible cinematography, had a little bit of an Easter egg with a Pym arrow, which was awesome.
Yes. There were a lot of trick arrows, acid arrow, what I called kind of like the Spider-Man arrow, because all these grappling hooks and kind of almost like webs kind of shoot out.
You get this Christmas trees, So we had some fun with that. I also think that most of the trailer now for the show we've seen, which is cool, which means there's a lot of stuff, and we know, and we'll get into 4 in a minute if you haven't seen it, because I'm trying to save a little bit of spoiler time here. But in 4 you can see why that they couldn't show much more from what they did, but. yeah, you saw a little bit more of the quote unquote team up of Kate and Clint. And again, Clint is just so funny, and I love the way that they're kind of developing his character. And then now we're going to get into 4 here. So spoiler alert, if you have not seen episode 4 yet, we're going to talk about it here probably about 10 minutes. But I'm going to dive in if that's okay. 4 was a deep dive character development, and not just anybody, but Clint. What I love about this one is that, again, it picks up where it left off, where they're inside the Bishop household, if you will. And Ray, I'm becoming more suspicious of the parents now than ever before, right? Both Kate's mother and the swordsman.
Yeah, and Jack Duquesne, the swordsman.
Like, something is going on there. It's obvious.
No, I mean, I was gonna say, it's like I was gonna say congratulations, buddy, because I think you're spot on. I think the mom is more involved. You called it. You called it.
Well,
you called it.
Here's the thing, because what they do is that they say that Duquesne is pretty much the head of the business of the tracksuit mafia.
But we know there's people above him.
Right. But my point is, he's in the room when they attack. Right. So there were also about 3 major Easter eggs in this episode. So that's all we get at Jack, just kind of like the understanding that like something's going on there. I appreciate the compliment, Ray. We'll see if it's true. This wouldn't be the first twist in Marvel history if it's not. But there's a great scene, both written, both cinematography, and then on top of it, the music. When Kate kind of feels bad for Clint that he's alone, she goes over, and we really dive into Clint and understand this guy's got massive PTSD.
Yeah, right? We really get to see it on display here. Yeah,
and like we kind of assume that, but they show it. There's this great scene where he talks about obviously how he became Ronin and that everybody dealt with the blip in their own way. Listen again, if you watch the scene again, listen to the music turn. It is so well orchestrated. They're kind of upbeat, and he gets into Ronin, and the music turns dark, right? And then there's this really great scene right then. Takes the hearing aid out. By the way, they're doing a really great job of removing sound from the picture when that happens. And he tries to fall asleep and is just plagued with nightmares of Ronin, of his family disappearing. And then, of course, on top of it, this is important, Widow being killed and sacrificing herself. And then he falls asleep, which is all the more impacted in the kind of closing scene when there's a fight going on and Echo shows up and a mysterious figure shows up. I'll let Ray introduce that. But again, the music is used in the scene. So it's basically Hawkeye versus an unknown assailant, who we'll talk about in a minute. Echo and Kate fighting. And there's a part where the unknown assailant throws Kate over the side of the building. Of course, she puts a grappling hook on her. You don't kind of realize that till, I guess, she falls. And
you don't realize it
runs to the edge. He runs to the edge to check, and you can see it's like, oh my God, it's happened again. And if you watch that, the music turns to the music from the death scene of both Gamora and Black Widow in Infinity War and Endgame. This, I gotta say this again, Ray, just the weaving of audio, writing, and visuals in this episode probably might deserve an Emmy. It was that good of a weaving of this episode. This was a great episode without having to deal with too much action. But I'll let you dive into it too, because I want to talk about the unknown assailant, because we all knew this one was coming. Oh, and Ray, when you're done with that, there's one Easter egg still that we have to figure out what it is. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was actually proud of myself, because there's that one point in the fight where the unknown assailant does something, and I'm like, I know who this is.
If you don't know what that is, it's like you're not paying attention.
Right.
I know what you're talking
because
about.
At first you don't know. At first it looks like Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell. It's just somebody in a black suit with night vision goggles, and you don't know who it is. All you know is it's a woman. Right. But it is a great scene. Before we get into that, though, I also want to mention Kate figures out in this episode that Hawkeye is Ronin, or was Ronin. Yeah, she figures it out. And that was a huge moment for them. And again, that just emotional impact of, in a way, it's the again, it's, what am I looking for here?
They're evolving her. They're evolving her into
they're evolving her, and it's her hero being taken down a notch again. Right. That's what I was looking for. Is that her hero's being brought down a notch again, and that she's as she raises up as a hero, for the potential of herself as a hero, she realizes Hawkeye's coming back down to Earth.
What was the name of the first episode? Remember?
The first Never Meet Your Heroes.
Never Meet Your Heroes, right? So we're seeing her rise, as Ray says, to a I'll say an equal playing field. And Clint slowly comes to that. In one episode, he said, "You are maybe the world's greatest archer." Okay, your instincts are good. So there's a trust.
And he even tells her mom this in this episode when he's caught. He's like, "No, she's very good. She is very good, at this."
Yeah. So and then it all turns.
Yes, it all kind
we had to have a cliffhanger for this.
Well, because you have to have a cliffhanger, and it's also the classic Marvel thing, and actually the classic comic book thing where all right, the two partners now had a fight, they had a spat, they're going to split up. They'll probably be separated for most of episode 5, and then something will bring them back together, and then you have your climactic huzzah, everybody together now again here for episode 6 as they go for the climactic finish. Randall says he wants to see Swordsman at some point. I guarantee you Swordsman
you will.
There will be a big fight with him at some point. They are definitely saving that, I think, for episode 6. It's definitely, and a lot of folks say they like episode 3 more. That's fine. Episode 3 had a lot more action, but to Lee's point, episode 4, you get so much character development here, and you also get to see how they handle things. Yeah,
in 40 minutes they did that. Yeah.
Yes, it was the shortest episode so far, but it's because they really honed in on the characters. You even get to see there's one point, and now we also realize the one thing is that this is how Hawkeye is going to get his purple, slightly more comic accurate costume. Is that basically
Return of the LARP.
Kate befriends the LARPers, and the LARPers are going to make them their superhero costumes.
I love it.
Basically.
I love that they revisited that. We talked about that in episode 2 that there was something there that left it open. And it did. But look, let's get into the unknown assailant. Again, the hint. We'll kind of unpackage this as it was. The hint was in the middle of a fight. She uses 2 bracelets on her arm that fire red electric shock,
energy blast,
which we've seen before in another character. So either at this point you knew who it was, or you're starting to guess. And of course, the unknown assailant continually saves everybody in the scene after beating the crap out of them. So, and is equal to Clint. That is the other thing. Is Clint's equal? And the mask comes off, Ray, and it's
Yelena. If you haven't seen Black Widow yet, folks, this is the big thing: is that the Easter egg scene at the end of Black Widow. You've had 5 months. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think you're ruining anything for anyone. It's on Disney Plus, so.
Yeah, basically, Contessa, as she's putting together her team of operatives, her Thunderbolts, whatever they may end up being called, she basically says, she's like, "You want to get your sister's murderer or the person responsible for your sister's death?" And she shows a shot of Clint Barton. This is the payoff. It's Yelena now going after Clint. Is she working at all with Tracksuit Mafia or anything? Probably not, but you don't know. Already muddled relationships have become only more so as Yelena now has inserted herself. Will she return this series, or is she going to be something that's going to be constantly haunting Clint through the rest of whatever things that he may be in, or maybe Kate Bishop is in?
Right.
That we don't know. But the fact she shows up, another player, another piece added to this chessboard that is of all these moving pieces. And it's made things super complicated. And Clint knows right away. Clint says it. He's like, somebody's taking a Black Widow hit out. He knows that she's a Black Widow because of the bolts, even though she might not have the Black Widow insignia or anything on her anymore. He knows who she is, or who she used to be, or who she worked for, even though she doesn't
knows her fighting style too. Yeah.
Right. He doesn't know, obviously, that's Natasha's sister. But
we don't know that, but I think that might be safe to assume. But again, that storyline is undeveloped. We don't know if Natasha ever told him about her. Probably not. But the idea is that it's Black Widow's sister, for lack of a better word.
Yes.
And she's there and she's pissed. But she did save everybody in the scene. It didn't look like she was trying to kill Clint. It didn't look like she was trying to kill Kate.
No, again, you mentioned she specifically saves Kate. She throws her. Right. She tries to take her out of the fight, but she doesn't want to kill her.
Right. The other thing too, Ray, is that there's 2 notable moments in the pauses of the fight. One is when the Widow has the gun on Kate. Clint kind of slowly just walks in front of the gun and is like, "What are you doing?" which I thought was very interesting. Of like, wait, like there was some communication there, and then obviously at the end, Kate has the arrow on Elena, and Elena kind of is like, don't even bother. Like, there's no point.
Yeah.
And then obviously the episode ends with them splitting. Clint says he doesn't want any part of this, which I understand. This is PTSD. He doesn't want anybody else's life on his hands.
Right.
And it's this continued of someone has to fill what Black Widow was for Clint Barton. And now you have two players in the game that could potentially do that. Ray, the big Easter egg we don't know is they went a little bit deeper into the watch in this episode.
The Rolex watch. Yeah.
And all they said was that it's from an older, I guess, Avenger or someone that hasn't been around in a while. That could be a lot of people. That could be Fury. It could be people we haven't
Fury.
seen.
It could be Steve. It could be it could be Hank Pym. Right. It could be we don't know why that Rolex is special, but I'm sure that we will find that out at some point in the last two episodes.
Yeah, that might be the Shang-Chi rings of the show. The other thing too we found out is that his wife, and I like this, talk about character development. Clint's wife is a little more engaged in his hobby than we think. Like, he kind of works with her. They work together, which I think is great.
Yes.
Because there was going to start being questions of like, she's just okay with him doing this all the time. I like the idea that there's a team up there.
It even hints at that she may have been an agent or something herself because she speaks German at one point, in order to hide it from the kids. Like, so I wouldn't be surprised if she's like an agent, like a former SHIELD agent, right? Maybe not a special operative, but like I could see like her having SHIELD training. And then she kind of acts as Alfred. Like, he sends her messages like, look this up, and she comes back with critical information.
Right.
So
a lot going on there, and then some predictions here. I believe this is kind of just where I'm at right now, that Kate's parents are going to out themselves, and Kate will have to separate from them if they both survive the show. And I think that Kate's coming home with Barton for Christmas. I think that's how this show is going to end, is that he takes her under his proverbial wing,
officially under his wing. Yeah.
And then they team up. I don't know where Elena's going to fit into this, other than jumping into the next thing. Maybe she's involved, or maybe she goes to Fury. I think Fury might be involved in this at some point. It would make sense. Fury is kind of the person that gave Barton his orders. By the way, another great speech about, she goes, "You help people." He goes, "I hurt people. I'm a weapon." I love I love that line. I just love that. He's like, "I don't help people. I hurt people to help people."
Yeah. And again, trying to remind her, I'm not a hero. I'm not who you think I am.
Right. So I'm just saying this, guys. If the best action episode, easily number 3, it was the most fun. But in terms of writing, cinematography, and orchestration together, this was a darn good episode of television.
Yeah.
All right. Now, again, you put them all together, it's another thing. But I think I could say this right. I'm not sure that any other episode of Marvel TV from a writing standpoint was as good as this one. The last episode of Loki was pretty good, but this was more convincing than Loki and She-Loki to me in terms of a romance. So I just want to applaud Marvel for this one. I think this one was really good.
No, Randall says Kate needs to experience loss, and he does. Well, to be fair, Kate experienced loss when she lost her dad as a kid, right? That is a key part of her backstory. So she has experienced loss. And in fact, actually, that probably more than anything is a big thing that drives her. In fact, it's what drove her to take up archery alongside seeing Hawkeye, what he does. She idolizes a Hawkeye. But again, that all stems from the attack on New York in 2012. Randall also asks, could the Rolex belong to Daredevil? And I say absolutely not, just because it came from the Avengers mansion. Right. It came from the Avengers compound. So it has to have been somebody who has already been to an Avenger or in the Avengers. It could be an heirloom from Tony. It could belong to Bruce Banner, and this somehow leads into She-Hulk, right? Like it could literally belong to anybody, I think, from the main roster of Avengers. He said, we don't know why the watch matters.
And this isn't verbatim, but he said it was from somebody he used to work with, but that's been retired for a while, right? So there's a lot, guys. There's so many directions you go. It could be one of the main Avengers. It could be a side Avenger. We saw in one of the first movies. It could be the scientist guy from Avengers 1, the Swedish guy. It's Skarsgård. I can't remember.
Erskine?
Yeah, I'm just saying there's a lot of people this could be. I think Fury is a logical choice.
It's a highly logical choice. Yeah,
because they got to bring Fury back into it. And again, look, Barton took orders from Fury for a long time. He even compliments him in the sense is I was given orders by good people to hurt people.
Yeah. I was given orders by the right people to take out the right targets.
I believe the end of this show will reveal Kingpin. It will turn Kate's mom and the swordsman into adversaries, and that Hawkeye will have to bring her home. Or it might end with people on the run. Again, one of the things that, just kind of turning gears here, Ray, one of the things we don't know is I don't see any kind of multiverse connection in any of the shows outside Loki, which is okay.
No.
But what's cool is I don't know how these are going to connect, and they can't just ignore that. Right. So I'm going to say it again. I think phase 4 is going to be the introduction of the multiverse, not the solution to the multiverse. All right. Unless they're really planning on opening it up in Spider-Man and closing it down in Doctor Strange, which wouldn't make sense because Ant-Man and the Wasp, we already know, Quantumania, there's going to be something going on here.
And I think they've mentioned that Kate Bishop is going to be in Quantumania now as a character.
Cool.
And I think going back to Randall's points earlier, he was joking about Young Avengers. I think Quantumania is going to be the jumping off point for a lot of the Young Avengers, because I think that's where you're going to get Cassie's going to become Stature. I think they've already confirmed Kate Bishop is going to be in Quantumania. I think you've already established Patriot with Falcon and Winter Soldier.
And the twins are coming back too.
The twins are going to come back probably. I would imagine in Doctor Strange too.
Right.
So I think Quantumania is going to be the big one. So, and like Randall said it to you, Doctor Strange is going to connect a lot, especially with the Doctor Strange 2 in the first half of next year is going to be, that's where we're going to get a lot of this. We're going to get the multiverse. We're going to get a hint of it in Spider-Man in a couple of weeks. And then it's going to really open up and really be a big thing in Doctor Strange. So, I mean, it's called Multiverse of Madness. That's the subtitle. So that's where everything.
If that's a red herring, shame on Marvel. Yeah. And I'll also say this too, Ray. After that is opened up, this is where the one Easter egg from Eternals may come into play, which I'm not going to spoil because you haven't seen it. And I think a lot of people haven't seen it, but the one thing at the very, the post-credit scene could open up into that post universe. That's that I can't say much more than that without giving stuff away, but there's something that happens there. It goes, okay, once we jump over phase 4, I can see where this might be pertinent in the future.
Yeah. I'm going to try and actually see it this weekend. Finally.
Yeah. Let me know when you do.
Yeah. Randall asks if Young Avengers will be a Disney Plus series or a movie. I think it'd be a Disney Plus series.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. They're not going to put that in a movie. Again, Randall, what's going to happen here, and this is going to be interesting, is that streaming might overtake cinema here if they're not careful. So they have to be really careful now moving forward with how they're making these things. That goes for everything, including Star Wars, Star Trek. I mean, everything, right? Look, let's be honest. The best Star Wars stuff we've had over the last 3 years have been TV, not movies. We'll see what happens here. But, speaking of that, Ray, we should talk about this. Multiple parties, big parties, as we talk about changing movie theater experience. If only there were 2 people talking about that for the last year and a half, about Disney buying theaters. Mark Cuban came out and said that this week.
I was going to say this week was the big one. Mark Cuban came out and basically said what Lee and I have been saying for months, if not years at this point. Cuban basically predicted, for those of you who don't know, we're going to get back on top of it in a second, but Mark Cuban basically said what we've been saying. He said in the next calendar year, expect half of the theaters across the country to be shuttered, be shut down, because not enough people are going back. And also, this is also true. This was recently polled. This recently came out. Half the people in the country refuse to go to the theater still, not because of COVID, because of how expensive things still are at the theater, how expensive a movie theater experience is for them. And now that they have the streaming option, they're okay waiting. So people who were regular moviegoers before the pandemic said, we're not going back because things haven't changed enough. Oh, kind of like what we've been saying the last 2 years. Yeah. When you take that, and with Cuban's prediction, if Cuban's prediction comes true, and let's say there's 4,000 theaters.
Our predictions, sir.
Yes. 4,000 theaters get cut down to 2,000, and he basically said he's like Disney and these big studios should. He's like, you want to control. He as he put it, you want to control the vertical. He's like, buy the theaters if you're Disney or whoever, and then control the vertical, and there's no reason to have AMC or any of the other places anymore. Just Warner Brothers and Disney and everybody else just buy the theaters that are left, because when there's only half the theaters left, it's gonna be a fire sale. It's gonna be a fire. And Randall says they're gonna try and bring back Movie Pass. I think it's too little, too late, Randall. Honestly.
Yeah, look, things have to change, and again, the experience of going to the movie needs to change. Again, some of us, look, I'm a diehard movie goer. I was. I love the experience of going to the movies, but it has to change. Like I said, I would pay upwards of $30 to $40, once in a while. I'm not saying this like every week, to go to a Disney experience that emulates Disneyland or Disney World for 2 hours, 3 hours. I would do that in a heartbeat. And I'll tell you what, a lot of families would.
Have for whatever the movies are on display there or whatever. Right. And not even that, you could also show your backlog.
Right.
Show old movies or whatever. And have people dressed up in costume at every theater.
Right. And I know there's people listening to the show, you say, well, I can't afford that. You're right. And I'm not empathetic or sympathetic to that. But you have a streaming service in your home now where they will ask you to pay $19.99 or $20, same price as the movie ticket, to watch at home, which you can afford. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Because I was going to say, if you're here in LA, I'm going to tell you right now, if you get a ticket, a soda, and a popcorn, it's already a $40 experience. It's already a $40 experience. Yeah. So it's if Disney, if you remove that, if you buy a $40 ticket and you're guaranteed this experience plus the movie, and plus they maybe throw in a soda and a popcorn.
Disney World for 2 hours. You're going to feel like you're at Disney World for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Warner
Brothers can do the same thing, and obviously, like you have all these other studios, like it just,
Well, here's the other thing too. If we're talking about the business side of this, Disney can buy AMC, or they can acquire AMC and just transform them into whatever they need. It's just like I said, this one's kind of obvious to me, and what they're doing as smart business owners are going to do, they're going to wait till it's as cheap as possible and let it collapse as much as possible, then buy it. Because the truth is this, and Disney Plus proved this. People will always spend money for Disney. Always. They will always do it. So they don't have to be impatient here. They can wait as long as they need to till the thing's about to die and then zap it. Look, some people are like, that's not fair. That's not right. That's business. And you would do the same thing if you were in the position. You wouldn't pay more for it than you needed to.
Yeah.
You don't pay more for a used car because you feel like it. You pay what it's worth. If you know it's going to be worth $1,000 less in 2 months, you'd wait.
Yeah, that's it. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I know a lot of folks out there with their diamond hands, temporarily saved AMC and all that other stuff. It's all you've done is delay the inevitable.
What'd you save? Yeah. You gave them a little cash income so they can go bankrupt.
It's it.
I'm going to say this again, Ray. I don't say this lightly. I love going to the movies. I love it.
Yeah.
But I can also read the writing on the wall. It's not a movie poster this time.
Yeah. I've been to the movies a few times in the past couple of months. I was there for Ghostbusters opening night. The theater was a quarter full.
Yeah, that's in Hollywood,
in LA. Yeah,
I mean that's incredible.
I mean that's and the movie's done well for them, but like compared to what it would have done beforehand,
right?
No, people aren't going back to the theaters.
Wait till that comes out on a streaming service. It's gonna kill
when it's able to rent, even when it's digital.
Right.
It's it's the same thing. It's not gonna happen. Even that so everybody was freaking out. Actually, it was a point of contention here on streams because people were like, "You didn't buy your Spider-Man ticket yet? You didn't buy your Spider-Man ticket?" No,
I haven't either. Yeah.
No. I'm like, Randall, I guarantee I could go to the theater the day of that it releases and get a ticket. Right. But some folks, again, they kind of guilted me into it. Not guilted me into it, but they got the paranoid. They got the paranoia factory.
I got the FOMO. And that's actually what Randall is talking about in chat here. I'm going to read it for the people listening. But he says, keep in mind, we're in the social media age where people want to talk about the movies after they've been released. As long as most movies come out in theaters first before streaming, people who want to spoil and create content and talk about something popular almost forces a lot of fans to get to the theater to watch it to avoid spoilers. Randall, I agree with you, but only in a short-term period. This is a transition period. I can tell you right now, Disney, Warner Brothers, all of them are willing to have their films spoiled for 1 to 2 years as this transitions because they're looking at the long game of the next 100 years. He also says Spider-Man No Way Home is a great example. Tickets selling out and people even scalping them. Spider-Man is a good example. Yeah, but Spider-Man is a good example, but it's also one of the most anticipated films of all time. And I'll tell you right now that it's one movie and it's going to be spoiled no matter what they do. No matter what they do, if you're online at 3:01 a.m. the night that's released, it's going to be spoiled. So I don't think they care.
And here's the thing. And then getting back to the story, I went and I bought 2 or 3 days ago, whenever I tweeted it, a week after this whole debacle. Oh, the website got shut down. Everything crashed. It's because their servers suck. Because again, the theaters are 200 years behind everybody.
Welcome.
I got the theater I go to in New Jersey, the Clifton Commons. Half sold. I had plenty of seats available when I bought my ticket. Half sold. It's you got to look into it. Maybe your theater, Randall, or maybe theaters near you, folks. I know some theaters here in LA. Definitely, some of the showings are sold out for sure. I'm not saying there's no sellouts.
I think this is a media BS blitz. I don't believe it. I don't believe they sold out like they were. I think they're doing it to build hype for the movie.
Yes,
I don't think it's real.
Again, that's what I'm saying. I got my ticket. I got a great seat.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
Plenty of time. A week after this whole debacle. A week after, and I'm seeing the IMAX version too.
Right.
Which I get is a couple bucks more.
It's a hype up game. Randall also says for non-superhero films, people will wait and watch later. Randall, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that either. I'll tell you why. I remember one time I went to the movies with my wife, probably girlfriend at the time. I can't remember what we were seeing, but there was a big release out. It was a big release, like something. It was a comic book level release. I don't remember what it was. And there was a line out the door. And I remember joking with her, watch, this line will be for the Devil Wears Prada, right? Just making a joke. That's when this happened. The line was for Devil Wears Prada. I was shocked. I walked down, I made a joke, and it was. People go to the movies for different reasons. Superhero films have taken over the last 12 years for sure. But I'm telling you this from a business standpoint, this is a transition time period. They are willing to take the small loss to get the big win. They're looking at the next 50 to 100 years of movies. Now, anybody who's seriously looking at this knows that in 15 years, we'll be putting on a headset, going to the meta world to watch a movie with our friends there. Well, get this, they're never sold out because there'll be a theater of 4 million people if they want. All right. But I'm going to say this. You got to put your business hat on here, right? They're okay with their movies being spoiled as long as people are buying. Look what Black Widow did. Look at a lot of these streaming movies did. People go, oh, Shang-Chi did great. It did do great, right? Yes. But it did better on stream. Yeah. So it's just, I'm telling you that the world is changing, and I don't say this with any joy, but you got to read the writing on the wall here. That's the direction we're moving. Yeah.
No, and Randall mentions his friend got a ticket for Friday for the Spider-Man release at 2 p.m. Yeah, there you go. Like, I mean, especially if it's a matinee show. Matinee shows aren't selling out. Like it's people, and again, same thing. Like when I looked at the theater, like there were still plenty of seats available for all the Friday showings. The Thursday showing, the midnight showing, yes, that was sold out.
That's sold out. Yeah. But what's funny is this is where it pays off to be an entrepreneur. It's like I get to go to the Monday at 11 a.m. showing that no one else can go to because I kind of set my own schedule. So, but yeah, no, I again, this is a manipulation to make you believe you're going to miss out if you don't buy tickets. And look, Randall, they ruined Luke Skywalker 2 seconds after that episode ended. It's going to happen. It's really on you not to go on social media if you don't want it spoiled for yourself. Social media.
I still don't know most of what happens in Eternals because it's just, you just got to know how to avoid it.
Yeah. Well, and Randall, I mean, this is the thing. Last thing I'll say, Randall, I appreciate you commenting so much. I'm not trying to pick on you or anything like that, but your logic still stands with streaming. People can ruin a stream right after it's over too. So it doesn't matter if it's in the theater or not. If you think them withholding it from streaming is going to help, that's just going to piss people off. Like you hear people just put it on stream. Just put it on stream. And again, if you have friends that ruin the movie, delete them. They're not friends. Delete them off your Facebook page.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing too. I mean, especially again, going with streaming again, we're going back to the Disney Plus shows. A lot of the Disney Plus shows were spoiled immediately, which is why I would watch them at midnight here.
I'd wake up and watch them.
It's gotten better. It's gotten better, right? Like I didn't watch Hawkeye till my lunch break today, and it was fine. You know, but I mean, like at least at first, especially with Loki and with Falcon and Winter Soldier, people were online immediately. That's
horrible.
Yeah, but speaking of Disney Plus, speaking of things returning, getting back on track here as we've reeling us in after we've
we're on track, Ray. We're talking about geekdom and sportsdom. Come on.
Yes, no, for sure. As I mean, in terms of our rundown here, as we had one of our favorite rants reminding people that movie theaters are dying and that streaming will rule all soon. Yay! Speaking of things that are returning, Kevin Feige has come out and said that Charlie Cox will return as Daredevil in the MCU.
Thank God.
And this is first off, it's a perfect casting. Obviously, there's no reason to recast, but it's a great deal. It's like, are they, will they forget about the Netflix show? Will they start him fresh? I mean, I think the reason why he also came out and said this is I really do believe, and a lot of folks have hinted at this, is that he will be in Spider-Man, that Daredevil will be in Spider-Man in some form or another, whether it's just as Matt Murdock in lawyer form or however, but I think that they're preparing people that yes, he will be back. This is great news. This is a huge deal. Obviously Charlie was perfect for Daredevil. And again, it also only hints at the fact that maybe Vincent D'Onofrio is coming back as Kingpin.
I was just going to say, it depends who Kingpin is. And could this be a multiverse thing? Probably not. But look, Daredevil and all those shows existed in the MCU. I don't know why they'd have to change anything. I mean, they might retcon a few things, mainly the R-rated nature of those shows. But that's great. That's great that he's coming back. I think him, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, they can leave Iron Fist out. But, I think that's what they said is that, they can retcon those shows or they could build again. But it would be cool if Kingpin and D'Onofrio and Cox were revitalized as those characters, because we never really got a great ending to that. For obvious reasons. So, looking forward to that.
Yes. And you mentioned the multiverse. Speaking of multiverses, we got the first trailer. They call it a teaser, but it's really a trailer. Let's be honest, it's 2 minutes long. It's a trailer for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Got a release date. Part 1. This is the biggest deal. That they already said this is the first of at least 2 parts across the Spider-Verse. And this trailer was huge because we get 2 big things. We get an slightly older Miles. He's clearly older here. We have Spider-Gwen coming back into his universe. Those two have fun banter and whatnot, but it also kind of insinuates that they haven't seen each other in a while. So why is the multiverse opening back up? And then, of course, the biggest thing that I'm super excited for, and of course that was hinted at the end of of Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man 2099. Obviously, there's some kind of a mix-up. Miles is kind of fighting or being chased by Spider-Man 2099. It's clear they have an antagonistic relationship there. Right. This is a big deal. It's the first part of continuing the animated Spider-Verse. Will it tie into the MCU proper? We don't know. But again, you're opening everything up in all kinds of different directions. And so anything is possible.
Well, and remember, technically, Into the Spider-Verse was the first multiverse film. Technically, as Kingpin was trying to open up that portal. So I do think this might have some sort of connection, and I don't think there's any problem with that. I think it would be smart for them to connect it. The same way like What If is connected, right? Of just it's part of the story. Trailer looked great. Miles Morales looks great. Love the this is what Haley Seinfeld's now second character. That's her first character technically, because she Kate Bishop voices Spider-Gwen, for those who don't know. So she's in the MCU as 2 active characters. Looking forward to this. Another just real quick Spider-Man news, Ray. I was reading that the Green Goblin in No Way Home is actually the main villain, like the main antagonist, or that his time on screen is really the most impactful. whatever that means. But I'm looking forward to that because William Dafoe was awesome. Probably still the best Spider-Man villain we've gotten in film, outside Doc Ock, right?
I was gonna say, don't sell Alfred Molina show.
But yeah, no, it sounds like the Green Goblin might be the main antagonist of that group, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Also love the Alfred Molina interview this week. They said, well, what was it to get you back? Why'd you come back? He goes, I'll do anything for money. I thought that was great. I thought that was, and then he said it just for the money. I'm like, he's being sarcastic, you idiots, but they probably got paid a lot of money as well.
Oh goodness. But yeah, no, and also funny thing, Tom Holland revealed, and I'm curious if because we talked about this before, that they could introduce another villain into this to make the Sinister Six. Tom Holland said this week that this was originally supposed to be a Craven film,
right? That
Craven was supposed to potentially be in this as a villain, and now I'm like, is Craven in this as a villain?
I'm going to tell you this again. Everything they're showing us, while awesome, is also a diversion at the same time. I don't trust anything I saw in that trailer. Yeah. All right. So
yeah,
I think that this film is much larger than it even appears to be now. I mean, there's no doubt that Tobey Maguire and Garfield are going to be in this, right? But like you said, who else is going to be in this? Who else is going to be in this? And we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. It'll be very interesting to see.
It is the most anticipated Marvel film of all time. I put it a hair nail above Endgame. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is something that's big because it's been something that fans have wanted. I think even more, like the idea of the Infinity Stones and the Infinity War coming on screen was a pipe dream. But for so long, it feels like we've been building towards this with the different iterations of Spider-Man, getting closer and closer and closer. And now we're finally getting at least a version of the Sinister Six. And this is a big, big deal because it is one of the premier villain groups in Marvel, whether you like it or not, because again, much like Batman and DC, Spider-Man has the best villains in Marvel.
Well, right? That's why I'm bringing this up. Who else might show up in this film? Remember, this is also an MCU film. Randall did say in chat that what does No Way Home mean? Does it mean he's going to leave the Spider-Verse or the MCU? And I predicted, Randall, that at the end of this film that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is going to get lost in the multiverse somewhere and not be able to get home. And Doctor Strange might be with him.
Yeah.
You know,
again, I think this is going to lead right into Doctor Strange too, for sure.
I think so too. And Multiverse of Madness, I would not be surprised if that stars both of them in a reverse role. That's Doctor Strange's movie with Spider-Man, and maybe he's trying to find Spider-Man or he's with Spider-Man. It's exciting. It's exciting where they might go with this. And Casey wants Paul Giamatti to come back as Rhino. I do too.
No,
I do too.
No, not in that stupid robot suit. No.
But listen, multiverse, you could get a real Rhino.
Yes, give me the real Rhino. Give me the Rhino that is just the dumb Russian thug that gets like a super suit stuck to his skin.
Right.
Anyway. So yeah, a lot can happen here. We're gonna know we're 9 days away from recording this. Yeah, no, Casey, I don't want silly nods. No silly nods. No.
He's not like the robot Rhino.
No.
I'm Spider-Man. All right, let's keep moving here because we only covered a few of them. But this next topic, Ray, again, something we've predicted coming to the forefront with another stupid name.
Yeah. Well, again, this is just the code name. This is just the project name. We got a lot of video game news this week. Again, a lot of stuff leading up to the Game Awards. We're going to get probably more tomorrow. And of course, we'll break it down next week, which by the way, will be we'll be taking a 1 week break after that for the holiday.
You might be
back after that.
No, we will be.
Yeah. I'm definitely taking a break.
Unless you show up to my house, and I'll be off that week also. I'm off. Actually, I'm off the last week of the year, so we'll see.
Oh, there you go. So maybe we'll figure it out. But as of right now, we're going to be taking that week off. So one episode next week, and then no afterward. But Randall says Rhino, but if he was from the show Billions, Paul Giamatti is a great actor with amazing range who was wasted as Rhino.
He's an amazing actor. Go watch John Adams on HBO Max. Go watch John Adams, Randall, if you want to see some incredible acting from him.
Yes. Anyway, video games. The biggest news of the week.
That's the best. Anyway, video games. I love it.
Yes. A couple of big stories this week. The biggest news, though, is that PlayStation is supposedly ready to unveil their Game Pass competitor, right now codenamed PlayStation Spartacus. I do not think that is going to be the final name, but Sony has realized that they are losing a lot of ground to Microsoft, especially the last 6 months with games like Psychonauts and Halo and Forza all being part of the Game Pass on day one. MLB The Show, and they realize that it's hurting them. So they are going to unveil their potential competitor soon, maybe as soon as tomorrow, but with an idea to launch it either end of March or beginning of April, which would be a big deal because this is something that has really been shooting them in the foot probably the last year and a half, especially during the pandemic. A lot of folks jumped on Game Pass, and it has been a huge revenue stream for Microsoft. So it'll be interesting to see if it's too little too late. I'm sure the Sony fanboys, and I completely get why, would jump on this as the first day one, but we'll see what happens, and we'll get to see what they offer because if I were them, in a similar way, if you want to compete with Microsoft, putting all their first-party exclusives day one, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, which is the actual name escapes me, with the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, probably the most anticipated game of the first half of 2022. To me, that's got to be day one with PlayStation Spartacus. You want to show you're serious, you got to put serious games in this service. So there you go. Casey, I'm not streaming Halo tonight because we're podcasting. So anyway, but yeah, Lee, what are your thoughts on Spartacus?
I'm interested to see what they come with and how they're going to differentiate themselves from Xbox Game Pass. And it's going to be like, let me just put my predictor hat on. There's going to be this big musical interlude, and then the screen's going to go dark, and then it's going to be God of War 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be every PlayStation exclusive game they've ever released. It will only be available on PlayStation Spartacus. And you'll have to wait 4 years for the next main title to come out because we have nothing planned. That's what I think this is going to be.
That's possible. It's possible.
That's what's going to be.
Sony's got two
exclusives that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah. Sony's got right now 2 tentpole releases next year. Horizon Forbidden West, that's the proper name of the sequel. Horizon Forbidden West, the beginning of the year. And supposedly, if it doesn't slip again, God of War Ragnarok by the end of the year.
Trouble.
That's
right here in River
not
City.
a lot.
No, but if you buy this now, you'll get a free download Wolverine suit in 24.
Yeah, don't care.
Again, I don't think this is a competitor. I think this is a cash grab, and I think it's going to be get our greatest hits. I think this is much more likely to be Nintendo Switch Online than it is Game Pass, and there is a major difference between those two.
Oh, for sure, because Nintendo has the library,
right? So
Nintendo has that nostalgia factor.
What I'm saying is, I think this is more likely to be that type of service, not a Game Pass, because you got to go with what you don't have. Again, you're not going to get people to switch off Xbox. Most likely. Right. The other thing too is, like I said, what do you have to offer? Like, get me again. I'm not pro Xbox or pro PlayStation. What can you do to get me off my Xbox to come to you? Is it the titles you've already released? Because I'm not going to do that. Speaking of that, Ray, downloaded Guardians of the Galaxy the other night. I haven't played it yet. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, I'll mention that. I finally beat it last night, and overall, I was very happy with it. That's good enough for me. Yes. Overall, there's some bugs. There's a couple annoying bugs here or there, but overall, the story was great. The banter between the characters was spot on. I think the writing was really good. I like that they borrow a little bit from the MCU. They borrow a little bit from the comics.
Yeah, it's just like the Avengers game, right?
Yes,
but
except
better.
For good. Yeah, except for good. I mean, the Avengers game is so bad. I've told folks this. I got it on PlayStation in anticipation of the Spider-Man DLC, which also I've heard is absolutely horse crap. It's absolutely broken, an absolute mess. I won't even play it. I refuse to play it at this point. It's just that bad a game. They really messed up that Avengers game. Randall mentions a game called Battle Chasers in chat. Battle Chasers was good. I played that. It was like 3 years ago. I played that. Based off of an old comic book with Joe Madureira. It's a solid game. I'm glad you're enjoying that, Randall. But yeah, Guardians definitely was worth the Black Friday sale. I'll say that much. I don't know if I would have been thrilled had I paid the full price for it, but overall, I was very, very happy. Overall, I was very, very happy with Guardians for sure.
I'm looking forward to playing it, but
yeah, no. And Casey mentions in chat Halo. He says multiplayer has been a good deal of fun. I would say otherwise. I would say Halo multiplayer has been Halo multiplayer. Like it's been very much. It's
the Bears who we thought they were.
Exactly. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's like I'm not seeing what makes this special or really all that different compared to previous Halos. I am looking forward to the campaign. I hear the campaign is doing things that it has never done before, and I am looking forward to that. But I played a little bit of Halo multiplayer before we started the podcast tonight, and I just wasn't impressed. Matchmaking was not great. The servers are definitely sluggish because, oh my God, Microsoft, just your biggest franchise potentially released, and you weren't ready for what you weren't ready for server wise. So to show we are equal opportunity, calling people morons here. Microsoft dropped the ball today because I heard it had a bad launch, the multiplayer, because of the server rush, and then today has been sluggish because today's when the campaign came out. So everybody else downloaded it now and it hit Game Pass today. So everybody else downloaded it now, and it's been sluggish. I hope it does get better over the next few weeks, but I will have a full review at some point after I've put more than an hour into it. That's just my knee-jerk reaction. So there's that. A couple other video game stories. Bioshock 4 supposedly is set in Antarctica. For those of you who don't know, Bioshock is known for Rapture, the city under the sea, one of the greatest games ever. Simple as that. Had a pretty solid sequel. Not as many folks were enamored with it. It added a multiplayer that I thought was actually pretty fun, but just never seemed to get off the ground because folks weren't into that universe for that reason. And of course, Bioshock 3 took place a city in the sky, which had some interesting time travel aspects to it. And it's a bit much for me. Honestly, I still think the first one is the best one, bottom line. But I'm curious. I'm happy to see that franchise making a return. You've done sky, you've done sea, ice. Yeah, makes sense. That's where we're going now. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. I mean, Antarctica, where will we go next?
Yeah, exactly. They're running out of places. So,
right. Oh, look, there's a penguin. What do we do? I hope that, like, if you're going to Antarctica, you have the 30 days of night, 30 days of light. You got to do it right.
That would be cool.
And cool. See, again, I'm the nerd here. I'm more like, I'm interested to see how they did the lighting in CGI on the ice there. That's what I think about in the video game world.
Yeah. Now that would be very cool. That would be interesting to see or even it's like the game only takes place of a couple of days, but it's permadarkness because of when it takes place, or permalight, depending on
right.
When it is. That would work, actually. Randall says he'd love to see a G.I. Joe video game, probably maybe inspired by my t-shirt tonight. Yeah, Randall, I would love a proper G.I. Joe video game. I've been looking for one for years. One came out a couple of years ago that was absolutely disgraced, absolutely disgusting from some, I think they're called Game Mill Entertainment. They should be embarrassed that they're even allowed near a coding computer, because that was one of the most disgusting displays as a G.I. Joe fan I've seen in a long time. Terrible game. It was probably like a 3 or something. It was what it deserved. Absolutely disgraceful. I would love Call of Duty to do G.I. Joe. Like, do Call of Duty, but just give us a little bit of the flair. Just give us Cobra tanks, right? Give us the Hiss tanks, give us the Sky Strikers, give us Snake Eyes. That's all we need. Somebody give me a bunch of money to go make a G.I. Joe game. Anyway, speaking of Activision, we gotta make sure we get our final shots. A lot of controversy actually this week. As speaking of the Game Awards earlier, Jeff Keighley refused to come out, at least initially. He did backtrack and then make a very actually poignant and well thought out response the next day. But at the moment, when he was asked about all the sexual harassment and should Bobby Kotick step down and all the things going over there, he said, "It's not my job to comment," which is the exact opposite, because he used to be a journalist. It actually is your job to comment on this. And obviously it's a pretty obvious comment, which is like, We said it last week. Sexual harassment is bad. Should be, Activision should make the proper steps to remove the people involved, and they should be punished accordingly. That's it. How simple was that? But yeah, he did end up finally coming around and making that statement. But by the way, the Game Awards on its board of directors, it's also got one of the heads of Activision. Surprise, surprise. So, but Keighley did end up making a good statement. He came around to it. But Activision, also the big news this week, surprise, surprise, they laid a bunch of people off. Folks over at Raven Software who are helping with doing a major part of next year's game's narrative. A lot of half their QA department, a lot of contractors basically had their contracts terminated early after they asked to renegotiate for $2 more an hour. And Raven said here's the sad thing is that Raven Software, the developer, said they were going to work to do that. And then Activision, the publisher, who of course is where all the money comes from, and they own Raven. Raven is a subsidiary of them. Activision came in and said, no, we're just going to fire you instead. So good job, Activision, on being a bunch of scumbags and the worst video game publisher out there. Morons. Lee, anything to add?
No, you said it all, my friend.
Fantastic. Fan-freaking-tastic. Anyway, that does it for Geekdom here on the show. And now we have we're moving into sports. And it was a very interesting week for sports, actually. Obviously, the NFL, as always, it's a very interesting week in the NFL. Last week, the Patriots continue. I'm going to say it. I don't know if the Patriots are going to get the number 1 seed in the AFC because all the division leaders are very bunched up right now. They're all within a half game of each other. But with the Bills really crapping the bed in Buffalo on Monday Night Football, in my opinion, that was a game. The Bills could have won that game. Better coaching. The Bills got out-coached. It's that simple. And I get a lot of teams that happens a lot of times against Bill Belichick, but they got out-coached. And because of that, the Bills lost. And to me now, there's no way the Bills win that division. They'll probably still make the playoffs as a wild card because I think they're still 7-5. But to me, the division is the Patriots. The Patriots are back. They're back. They took 1 year off. They're back. Lee, thoughts on New England's resurgence?
Yeah. I talked 2 years ago when Brady left. I said, watch out for Bill Belichick. He's going to figure this out, turn it around, and start winning again because he is a great coach. Hit a little bit of a roadblock, finds the right guys. Now they're motoring, and they look like the Patriots of the old times with a new quarterback.
Best defense in the league.
Yeah. So, right now, Vegas, right? I don't know if you know this. Vegas odds turned yesterday. Do you know what the most likely Super Bowl matchup is as of right now?
Tampa Bay and New England.
Pats Bucks. Right. So we'll see what happens here. Obviously, that you never know. You never know. But that would be. Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. That would get ratings.
I mean, everybody's going to still watch the Super Bowl, but
that would get massive ratings if they did that. And I'll be honest with you, the NFL needs that kind of boost right now because their ratings have not been awesome the last couple of years compared to previous years. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how that's going. Belichick's got them rolling. I would love to see Belichick coach against Brady because I think it's an even matchup. I really do. And in a very unique way that's never been done before.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it earlier this year in the regular season. The Bucks, of course, won on that. You had a last-second field goal, and they won by I think 19-17. Yeah, but I mean, it's going to be interesting because especially now the Patriots now are different than the Patriots that lost this game. That game
totally they could win right now. So it's what I'm saying is look, odds are we're going to get a great matchup to get to that Super Bowl this year. There's going to be some great playoff football this year, I think, the way things are going.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. And also needs to be said because of the weather conditions, the Patriots did something that hasn't been done in 45 years. They threw the ball 3 times. Mac Jones' final stat line, 2 for 3 for 19 yards. They ran for 220 yards. Yeah. And to be fair, people are like, the Bills couldn't stop them. The Bills held the Patriots to 14 points. The Bills held them fine.
Right.
The problem is that the Bills' offense didn't do exactly what the Patriots or couldn't do what the Patriots did. They couldn't run the ball. They put the ball into Josh Allen's hands. And to be fair, sometimes his receivers made some real bad drops. His offensive line did not hold up very well against that crazy pass rush. But at the end of the day, no, don't people who are like, oh my God, the Patriots run game is good. The Bills, again, their game plan lost that game. Bill Belichick coached McDermott.
Yeah. It's how they beat the Rams. It's, look, I'll tell you something funny too about this. There's this great Star Wars meme. You know the memes of Amidala with Anakin, where like he says something and she goes like, right. And it was Anakin says, we held the Patriots to 19 passing yards. And Padme goes, that's awesome. We won the game, right? Right?
Yeah.
Because it's one of those stats. If I say, we held the Patriots to 19 passing yards, you're like, we definitely won, right? Like,
yeah.
Look, I love that we're talking about it this way. I love that we're talking about the Buffalo was actually the favorite.
Yeah.
It's a cool different switch there.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Again, I mean, things could change, especially if the weather's different up in Foxborough, but to me, it's the Patriots division. I don't see the Pats suddenly collapsing here in the last 5 games. So,
right.
But they've got competition, obviously, in the AFC for that top spot. The Chiefs are rolling right now as well. They beat up on the Broncos. The Ravens lose a heartbreaker. They went for 2 in the last play of the game, basically against the Steelers. That would have given them a 21-20 win. That also would have basically knocked the Steelers. The Steelers would be 5-6-1. They'd basically be done with the way the AFC is going. But instead, they did not get it because Lamar Jackson, this is about 3 games in a row now where Lamar has not looked like Lamar. Folks are talking about, is he still suffering side effects from COVID? Is he hurt? There's a lot going on there, but Lamar has looked really bad 3 games. It's the worst 3-game stretch of his young career. And the Ravens have not looked well. I think they're 1-2 in those 3 games. And now they are 8-4, half game behind the Patriots as well. And then, so I mean, it's very interesting to see what's going on there. And if the Titans were on a bye week, so they are also 8-4, trying to get healthy. But yeah, the AFC, a logjam. The Dolphins have won 5 in a row. Could be interesting. The Dolphins could give the Patriots a fit. Again, probably not come out of the playoffs, but could give them a fit there that could make that top seed standings very interesting as they knock off my Giants, who are just pathetic at this point. We're down to our 3rd string quarterback. I'm going to the game on Sunday. I'm really looking forward to, I've heard there's some great hot dogs at SoFi Stadium. So I'm looking forward to that. So some sausages. The Giants season is done. They're 4-8. It is what it is. They're pathetic. We've talked about this already ad nauseum. You need to fix the team in the draft. The Dolphins are looking good. Their defense is clicking. Tua had another great game. I think he's in his last 4 games. He's got an 80% completion percentage or something like that. So he's really starting to click. So after starting 1-7, the Dolphins are 6-7. Good for Miami. And the Eagles are rolling. They beat up on the Jets and keeping that last wild card spot interesting as Washington, for the 2nd week in a row, Washington won by the score of 17-15 on a last-second field goal. Lee, who's going to get that last spot? You guys or the Washington football team?
The Eagles, and I'll tell you why. We have a favorable schedule. We still have our bye week, which is massive, right? We finished the season with a pretty favorable schedule, in my opinion. And I'll tell you it right now. Let's just look at both those teams since you asked, Ray. We're going to the Eagles schedule. I know the teams we're playing. Okay, we have the Giants. All right, we have the Washington football team, and then we finish the season against the Cowboys in a game that may or may not matter. Most likely will, right?
Yeah.
But we have 3 games left, and they're all very winnable games. Now, they're all NFC East games. I'm sorry, we have 4 games left. They're all NFC East games. We have Washington. I messed up. We have Washington, the Giants, the Eagle. Okay, I'm clearly not awake. We have Washington, New York, Washington, Dallas. I apologize, everybody. I'm kind of reading this backwards. Favorable schedule with the bye week coming up right now. All right. If we are in a better position to win that wild card right now than Washington. Now, with that said, anything can happen. All right. But I think you'd agree with me, Ray, that, if you put a gun to my head right now, you want to pick Philadelphia just by strength of schedule. Whereas Washington, again, this is their schedule. It's very similar, right? It's going to be Eagles, Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, right? So it's all going to come down.
It really could come down to it really sounds like it's going to come down to the two head-to-head matchups between you two.
Right.
Like if you guys sweep those matchups, then that's obviously you're in.
Yeah.
To me, it's in.
And
like,
I don't. And I'll tell you what, the way the Eagles are playing right now, they seem to be getting better every single week.
Yeah. Whereas Washington's barely holding on for dear life.
Barely winning games. They're averaging about 24 points a game. Right.
I don't even. And again, they've only scored 17 the last 2 weeks, so they're not.
Look, their big thing this week is they beat the Bucks, and they've been on an amazing turn ever since that.
Yes, they beat the Bucks, the Seahawks, the Raiders. Now, they're. But again, they're close games. They're relying on their defense. It's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Especially you guys are. It is a good time for you guys to get healthy. It sounds like Hurts will be back in time for your next game. Although the Minshew era,
the Minshew dynasty.
Yep. Gardner Minshew had a very nice game against the Jets. Then again, I could have a very nice game against the Jets.
There's no quarterback controversy. As soon as Hurts is available, he's coming back in, unless he comes back in as horrible. It's not like I don't call it a controversy because it's obvious at that point.
Yes, no, it's definitely the
Minshew dynasty in Philadelphia. It's like dreams do come true.
You also got some help
at least
this week.
One Philly team is rolling. Andrew got two Philly teams rolling. 2 of the 3 are rolling right now. You don't expand your mind enough, my friend. Andrew said that in chat. At least one Philly team is rolling. Yeah. Obviously, speaking to my nosediving Philadelphia Flyers right now. But we'll get to hockey in a minute. Let me know when we're done with football before we transition to baseball, so we can talk about hockey for 10 minutes.
Yeah. No, we'll do a brief hockey and NHL and NBA segment.
There's only one story in the NHL I need to talk about this week, but we'll get there.
Okay, we will get there. Yes, where was I with football? Yes. Oh, yeah. So you got help also this week too. The Niners lost to the Seahawks.
Yeah, we did.
The game that they shouldn't have lost, and the Vikings lost
to the Lions, to the Super Bowl winning, 1-game winning Lions, who looked like they won the Super Bowl when they won that game.
Yes, it was. They're now 1-10-1. I will say this, and a lot of folks have said this too. And the Lions could easily be a 500 team. They've had a lot of bad luck, a lot of at the end of games. I think the Ravens beat them on a 63, like another one of those 63-yard field goals or something, which as a Giants fan, I also know all about. Like it's just like one of those things where like the Lions easily could have several wins at this point, but it's just they've had terrible luck, and then it starts to get in your head a little bit.
Right. I even texted Ray during the game. I said, "The Lions going to help me out? Are they actually going to help me out?"
And I said no. And I'll say this: if it wasn't for the fact that the Vikings failed on 3 2-point conversions, they probably would have not helped you out.
Right.
But they, that's the way the cookie crumbles. And now the Vikings, honestly, season might be over because they have a very hard schedule down the stretch.
I think you said that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yes, that is what I said. I said the cookie crumbles. Yes.
Yeah, you didn't say cookie. It's okay.
I need a cookie. I want
cookie.
I didn't say cookie.
Cookie.
I want cookie.
Cookie.
Couple other games real quick.
Cookie.
The Chargers looked very good against the Bengals. Again, the AFC is just a cluster right now. And the Cardinals continue to roll. The Arizona Cardinals beat up on the Bears in Chicago. The Bears are not a very good team, but the Cardinals, we've said this for a while, they are the 1 seed for a reason. And they continue to roll. And Kyler Murray's back. They got healthy at the right time. Them two coming out of the bye. I know everyone wants the Bucs. I'm going to be rooting for the Cardinals in the playoffs. I root for the folks who've never been there or never won, I should say.
How noble of you, Ray.
Well, I know my Giants aren't going to be there.
So noble of the New York fan to
come playoff time. I root for the teams that have won the least in every game. That's how I pick who I root for.
Maybe.
Except for the Eagles.
No, it's not true. You rooted for the Eagles in 2018 for me, and I appreciate it.
Yes, for you. I appreciate it. It was also easy because it was against the Patriots. I remember Giants fans in 2018 in the Super Bowl. It's really the 2017 season, but I remember Giants fans conflicted of this is such a New York thing. Like, do we want to be the only team that's beat the Pats in the Super Bowl, or do we want it so the NFC is the only division that's beat the Pats in the Super Bowl? And all the Eagles fans are like, what are you doing here? The freaking birds, man. The freaking birds in the Super Bowl. What are you doing here? Freaking birds. Yeah. Freaking give me a heart attack. Yeah.
John.
So interesting week of football.
Hockey time.
First we're gonna go into baseball.
No, fine. We'll end on hockey. It's fair. We got Andrew Craig, hockey fan, Toronto fan. Wants my thoughts on the Vancouver Canucks and the Zegers goal from last night, which is sending shockwaves across the sportsverse. We'll talk about it.
That's the one that he flipped over the goalie and somebody else batted in.
I am going to
right?
talk about that because I have never seen that accomplished before, and we've only tried things like
it was amazing. I mean, it's almost like baseball. It's like somebody soft pitched the puck to the guy.
We're going to talk. We're into it now. We're doing it. Okay, we'll end on.
Okay, we're going into NHL. We're going to do hockey now.
Zegers last night, Anaheim Ducks from behind the net picks up on his stick, flips it over the net to another player who bats it in the net. It's an amazing goal. What I see when I see that goal, Ray.
Mm-hmm.
And this is because I'm so, deep in hockey, is I think back to 2005, 2006. I think back to that lockout and the rule changes that they made to make the game much less physical, much less fighting, and more creative, more flowing. And you're starting to see now the players that developed in that time period. They're so creative on the ice and are literally changing the game in front of our eyes. And it's amazing. This started again. The Michigan goal became a very popular thing to do in the NHL. Suddenly, once thought to be impossible, right?
Yeah.
Now you're seeing players, purposely and purposefully passing the puck over the net to another player. In fact, Zegers couldn't believe that he even did it. All right, but where are we going to go from here? The creativity in the NHL is off the charts. And I'm going to tell you this right now. We're entering a point with this game, right, where people are, hockey's dumb. Nobody cares about hockey. You look dumb for saying that. This game is getting more and more exciting. It's on ESPN. Man, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Casey makes a great point. We're seeing the between the legs shots now weekly. Again, once thought I remember when Merrick Malik did that in a shootout.
In the shootout,
almost 20 years ago. And John Davidson, like we're entering an incredible era of ice hockey right now. You have a player who is going to probably break the all-time goals record in modern history. You have another player who's so fast nobody can touch him. You have players like Zegers doing this. This is an amazing time period to be a hockey fan, right? Yeah. If the NHL can continue to cultivate it. One of the moves they made this week, which I'm not against, but is Vancouver hired Bruce Boudreau to be the coach. Bruce Boudreau, player's coach, but definitely a Band-Aid coach. He's just there right now to fill a gap. Until they can get somebody new. I wish the NHL, I wish the NHL would break the old boys club up just a tiny bit. There's a lot of young coaches. I'm not speaking about myself. There's a lot of young, innovative coaches right now that really deserve a place in that league, and they're not getting looks because it's the same coaches rotating over and over and over again because everybody's scared. All right, and I'm looking forward to seeing the teams that break through the walls with that. All right, it's going to happen. Someone's going to win the Stanley Cup with a young coach, and then the whole league's going to change. But guys like to
be fair, the Rangers just tried that with David Quinn, and he failed miserably.
I'm not saying it's going to work every time, but I'm saying that there's a lot of young coaches that deserve a chance. All right, and different types of coaching. Quinn's still an old school hockey coach at heart. All right, it's not just about analytics and stuff like that. And look, some of the old guard, the Quenneville's, who's a great hockey coach, but he's got to live with his sins now. And some of these other guys, Bruce Boudreau has always been a great players coach, and he's a good Band-Aid coach for that area right now. But I don't think he's going to be there that long. Andrew, you were asking about that. I've always liked Bruce Boudreau. I read his book called Gabby. You should check that out if you're a hockey fan. But yeah, Casey's also making a great point about if someone tried some of these moves in the 70s, 80s, or even 90s, it would be a bloodbath, and people would get
somebody would get you'd get.
I remember Sidney Crosby's first year, Darian Hatcher and the Flyers just casually punching him with a haymaker in the face for no reason, and he got away with it. Yeah, it was one of the more beautiful plays of that season for us. But he just punched him right in the face. I mean, the game's changed quite a bit, and while Ray, you, me, Casey, you two probably have an affinity for that kind of Neanderthal 90s. 80s hockey because it was kind of our youth. You have to admit the game is
better now,
much better right now. It's the skill alone. They've taken the head hits out, they've taken the fighting out, and it's gotten better. Another reason, Ray, why Gary Bettman's leadership is often underrated. I'm not saying he's done everything right. We've talked about this. But my God, that man has done more for hockey than almost anybody on the planet. And he takes so much hate for it. I think it's time to reverse that. When you look at other commissioners that have made mistakes as soon as last week for their game.
Yeah,
did I toss that transition to you fast enough?
Yes. Yeah, I get it. I do briefly want to mention, since we are talking about hockey now,
why don't you
coming into
the conversation back to me?
Yeah. I do want to mention, at least coming into tonight. Now it's actually tonight. The Rangers had the highest point percentage in the league. It's now Florida after the Rangers lost in regulation to Colorado, a game where the Rangers' third string goalie started because obviously Shesterkin's going to be out for at least a couple more games. Which of course you go back, watch the meltdown that I had on Streamlounge.io last week as I found that out live.
By the way, while I was like, relax, man, it's probably not that big of a deal. It's probably not that big of a deal. Guess what, guys? It wasn't that big of a deal.
No, it's a minor groin injury. It's something that's plagued him for a lot of his career. He missed he missed 10 games last year for a similar injury. The hope is he's not going to be out as long, especially the Rangers on a rough stretch right now, having to play 8 games in 13 days, a lot of back-to-backs because the schedule gods really don't like us. But I do think one might be a makeup for the COVID outbreak in Ottawa. I'm not sure on that. But anyway, still tough night tonight for the New York Rangers, for the Broadway Bluesters. They lost 7-3. But everybody looked flat after a really hard fought game yesterday in Chicago, where they Jacob Trouba put a man on a stretcher. Speaking of your old school Neanderthal hockey a little bit, although it was a pretty, looking back, Andrew brings up in chat. Yes, I did end up seeing it, Andrew. It's one of those borderline hits. Kyra had his head down, and we've talked about this before. Like, you should know better at this level than to have your head down. Trouba did kind of propel himself a little bit into him, but he never got completely off the ice. There was no suspension. There was no fine handed down for the hit. So the refs on the ice called it a clean hit. The league that has called it a clean hit after reviewing it. It's just really, really unfortunate it happened. And at that point, obviously, Chicago was done with that game, and the Rangers rolled last night. And then tonight we got rolled. So.
Rolled by a very good team that's on a roll.
Yeah.
So don't beat.
And again, we were on a back-to-back. We were in Chicago last night. We came home to New York today.
Goalie. Like you said, you can't kill yourself. On the other hand, my Flyers are on, I think, a 13 game skid right now. With the coaching change, Flyers have fired Alain Vigneault, put Mike Yeo now in as an interim head coach. A lot of calls for Rick Tocchet. I'll be honest with you. I don't say this much. I don't say things like this much. Rick Tocchet might be exactly what the Flyers need to turn this around. He's a good coach. We all know that, but a Flyers legacy, former Flyers captain, has the kind of grit and understands, most importantly, the Flyers' identity, which they have been lacking sorely since Ed Snyder died. I would love to see the Tocchet experiment come in here.
Yeah. Well, it's becoming interesting to see what happens, but you guys got a lot of changes. Alain Vigneault let go, and you're on a rough skid. You're on a rough skid right now. I think
it happens. I'll always remind you, Ray, that the St. Louis Blues were the worst team in the league on January 1st, 2019. The worst team in the league, and they became the Stanley Cup champion in what was one of the greatest Stanley Cup years I've ever seen. That was a really fun.
It was a magical run. Year. It was great.
How could you not get on that bandwagon that year? And I believe they beat Boston in Game 7 after Boston kind of murdered them the first few games. I mean, it's just the best of hockey. The best of hockey. I'll be honest with you. When you think about this, 2018, 17 and 16, but in 2018 when the Caps won, that was a really great year. 2019, the Blues won. That was a really cool year. And in the last 2 years, it's been kind of these COVID years, but you got to hand it to Tampa Bay. The finals have not been great. The Dallas-Tampa Bay final wasn't great, and the Montreal-Tampa Bay final wasn't great, but the storyline's kind of cool. And I'm looking forward to
the rounds leading up to the final were better than the final itself.
I really wish Toronto or Edmonton. I really wish one of those teams had made it against Tampa. That would have been
it's just shame that Toronto is trash when it gets to the playoffs. So
it's again
I
nothing
think
against the
Andrew
Habs.
still a little cheap shot.
Nothing against the Habs. Nothing against the Habs. It's just Toronto. I mean, can you imagine seeing like Tampa Bay against McDavid after not playing him the entire year? That would have been amazing. But for the Flyers, I think Rick Tocchet could be a really smart answer if it comes to pass. But they got to do something to change this. Because here's the deal, Flyers fans, and I'm one of you. Your coach goes first. This keeps up. The players start moving real soon.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because of injuries, and we had such a strong start that we've kind of reversed that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will see what happens and see if things get reversed and whatnot. And speaking of things getting reversed and some really bad decisions being made, and moving on to baseball, a little bit of baseball, a couple of baseball stories. 2 baseball stories going on right now. The first is Rob Manfred should be imprisoned for crimes against the fan base. His letter to the fans after the lockout was initiated was an embarrassment, and we're going to loop back to the lockout in a second because I got a lot to say about that. And then he came out and he confirmed that after offense was on pace for 1968 levels. That's dead ball era levels, folks. That's when they started to make changes to the game. That's over 50 years ago. When offense was at a historic low, he admitted that they changed the baseballs back for some of the games. Not all of the games, not saying, yes, at this point on, we went back to the baseballs we were using in the previous year, but in this way, like, everything was even. It's like, some of the games, we found these old baseballs lying around and happened to put them into the primetime games to maybe encourage a little more offense. Basically, making the whole second half of the season almost like you don't know what worked, what you don't know the integrity. You don't know the whole integrity of the game is shot.
That's his only job.
Yeah,
is to protect that. That's his only job, is to protect the integrity of baseball. And he has failed at every turn. We all know my thoughts on baseball. I don't watch Major League Baseball. I don't support Major League Baseball. It pains me as a Phillies fan growing up that way, right? It's pretty obvious. I'm not going to be able to come back to baseball until either Rob Manfred is fired, resigns, moves on, or has a dramatic change of leadership style.
Yeah.
I'm not putting my foot in the sand that it's not possible. But my God, and I gotta say it again, baseball fans, how much of this are you gonna take? How much of this are you gonna take?
I'm gonna say right now, if there is any baseball canceled because of a lockout, I am done with baseball. I'll only on my video games. I'll keep playing the video game, and that's it. You all want to watch good baseball? Come watch me in the spring on twitch.tv. Otherwise, I am done. Even I am done at this point because it is sickening. It is disgraceful. From Manfred to the owners, to the coaches, to the players, you're all a bunch of sacks of crap. Honestly, it is clear that none of you care about the fans. Not a single one of you cares about the fan base. All you care about is your money, your TV deals, your revenue, and I now am sick of it. I have better things to do with my time than to watch a bunch of morons making $40 million a year to play once a week, complaining about the conditions and the money that they make and the money they could make. It's like my grandfather used to say after the 94 strike, it's billionaires arguing with millionaires. They are in a different world. And we shouldn't care about them. My grandfather stopped watching baseball after 94. I'm going to stop watching after 2021 if there's another lockout that cancels any baseball. And I get everybody's like, oh, well, this is the owners. The owners locked them out. I'm like, yeah, the owners locked them out in the off season, and if it was during the regular season, the players would have went on strike. It's the same. It's hand in hand. It's hand in hand. I mean, a perfect example of this. I went on a rant on my stream the day it happened. Jameson Taillon, pitcher for the Yankees, who made like $5 million last year. Lee, I could retire on five. If you give me $5 million right now, I'm retired. I'm retired. My life expectancy and my health, I'm retired. $5 million. I'll give you a deal. $4 million Christmas deal, Black Friday deal. $4 million. Ray Carcillo retires.
I have got this card here, Ray, with a lot of money on it, but unfortunately, I'll be donating that to Child's Play on our Streamlounge.io charity drive the rest of this month to help the underserved youth.
Everybody else here, donate to me $4 million and I'm retired. I'm done. Anyway, Jameson Taillon.
Yeah, you could use $4 million would be nice.
Jameson Taillon said, and he's rehabbing an ankle injury. He's like, it's such a shame that we're locked out because now I can't go and use the baseball facilities to rehab my ankle, to use the trainers that I always use. And I'm like, Jameson, talking right to you now. I hope this gets to you. No one cares that you now have to go use a regular physical therapist that every other normal person would have to use, and that it's not free for you anymore because you're a millionaire. As two people, and I don't want to speak entirely for Lee, but who have gone to physical therapy for a variety of injuries on our bodies, you are not going to get any pity from us that you now have to go for a physical therapist and you have to pay a little bit of money out of pocket as a millionaire because baseball closed down the facilities and now you can't use how are you going to rehab your ankle? You are not going to get any sympathy from us. Again, it's millionaires versus billionaires. You want to make an argument as to why the players are in the right. You want to fight for competitive balance. You want to fight for expanded playoffs, universal DH. That's how you get us on your side. Don't, as a millionaire, come to me with your bitching about your medical bills, you moron. Okay? As somebody who doesn't, never mind a 7-figure salary, I don't even sniff a 6-figure salary. It kills me to have to drop my copay if I have to go to the doctors. That's how tight a budget I'm on. Nobody cares that you busted your ankle playing baseball. You want to get the fans on your side? That's not the way to do it. You're clearly as tone deaf as Hawkeye pulling out his hearing aid. Okay? You clearly, none of yous get it. Max Scherzer is going to make more money next year than the Baltimore Orioles, than the Pittsburgh Pirates. You want to talk about money? Again, you want to talk about the competitive balance? Also, by the way, fun fact, this doesn't affect the minor leagues. The minor leagues are completely different. The minor leagues are not unionized. So there might be minor league baseball next year. Those guys will still make their $30,000 a year. I'm going to say this again. If there's no Major League Baseball come April 1 or April 11 or whatever the starting date was supposed to be, there's not 100. And I'll even say this, even if you want to say, we're going to shorten the season, 150 games, baseball season should be shortened anyway. If by the second week of April, there is not baseball, I'm done. And Jameson Taillon, if you keep bitching about your medical bills again, I'll break your other goddamn ankle. Okay? You freaking moron. I made $5 million. How am I going to pay for my ankle physical therapy? I don't know. Where'd your money go, Jameson? You drink it all down with your namesake? I don't know. $5 million last year. How am I going to pay for my rehab? I don't know. Everybody else in America figures it out usually. Or we suffer with our injuries. You jackass.
Oh, that was
I
wonderful.
broke my ankle. How am I going to rehab it?
You look like Jabba dying when you do that.
Exactly.
Look, for those of you listening, look, I went on strike for baseball before last season. I was, as Ray would say, I was a trailblazer. I was one of the first that said this was only going to get worse. In fact, Ray, if you remember, I said this is only going to get worse.
Yes.
I said that's how far gone I am. Baseball is only going to get worse from here. So nothing's going to change till people stop going and people stop watching and people stop doing this to themselves. And I've said this at least 10 times on the show. No baseball fan has been given any good reason why I should come back. They don't. The thing is, Ray, they don't even try. They don't even try.
No.
The attitude is not like, oh, we don't need you. The attitude is, I got nothing. I just like to watch baseball, and I'm like, that's great. I like to watch baseball too. Just don't like to watch Major League Baseball. Just to reiterate here, you have a league going on a lockout, a lockout. Both parties are responsible for that. You have players getting paid now a ridiculous amount of money, and it's a problem. Those salaries are going to start to drop. We should be paying doctors and nurses and firemen and police officers and military that kind of money, not these guys. It's wrong at this point. I'm a business guy. I'm about revenues going up. This is going to collapse. This is becoming a bubble that's going to pop. And then above all this, you had two different sets of balls randomly in the league this year as commissioned by your leadership. Holy hell, man. Holy hell. This is wrong. This is Houston Astros cheating level wrong. What is the MLB doing? So until Manfred's out, or again, drastic change in leadership, I'm not watching. Because, Ray, this is going to get worse. You watch. It's going to get even worse. All right? I know people love their teams. They love their fandoms. No one has given me a reason to watch Major League Baseball. Not one. I'm glad Bryce Harper won the NL MVP. I don't really care. I don't care. I like Bryce Harper, too. I do. Right? This doesn't mean every MLB athlete's a jerk. But, man, your sport is in trouble, and I do not see anything putting that trajectory the right direction right now. You're going to lose the youth. You're going to lose Little League, and you're going to lose your sport. And people think I'm crazy. The way hockey is going, the way baseball is going, one of those sports is going to be around in 50 years right now. And it's not baseball. And people are going to think I'm crazy for saying that.
Soccer.
They're going to think I'm crazy for saying that. It's
baseball will be dead before we are.
It's like painful to say this. I'm happy I stopped watching for this exact reason. That ball thing would have driven me nuts. And some fans are like, oh yeah, it's not a big deal. Raise your standards. Raise your standards.
Yeah.
I mean, look what we did to Tom Brady for Deflategate. Raise your standards. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, but worse.
Yeah.
It's league wide, commissioned by a commissioner. Horrible.
Yeah. Oh, one big story that we glossed over. We're going to go back to football for a second. Real quick. Sorry about this. This is my fault. That's my bad.
It's Ray's fault. You heard it here first on.
Speaking of commissioners and inconsistent messaging, he got properly punished. Antonio Brown.
Oh, yeah. We did miss this.
Yes. Lied about his COVID vaccination. Not just lied, but faked a vaccination card, which is a federal offense, a federal penalty. But I will say this, the NFL did a terrible job. In fact, they didn't do a job at all. The statement that was made, the same exact statement that was made for Aaron Rodgers, saying that Aaron Rodgers was found to be in violation of the COVID-19 penalties here in the NFL and therefore was fined $15,000. Antonio Brown was found to be in violation of the COVID-19 protocols here in the NFL and was suspended 3 games.
What?
On the surface, that's a real bad look, NFL, because most of us, and that's your official statement, most of us don't got the time. I do, but most of us don't got the time to look into this more and to find out why those 2 penalties were so hugely different. The difference is that Aaron Rodgers never lied to the NFL and never lied to the Packers. He lied to the media and by extension the fans. but that is far less than lying to the federal government and the NFL and the Tampa Bay Bucks. Whereas Antonio Brown basically lied every step of the way and even did a federal offense, which I'm sure the feds will start to get involved with this soon, because again, you can't fake a vaccination card. Aaron Rodgers never did any of that. He just lied to the media, and actually not even lied. He misinformed them. We'll say he kind of lied, but like basically the difference is that that's why the severity of the penalty. And also Antonio Brown is also a repeat offender in the NFL.
Repeat offender is key there.
Yes.
This is people making something more out of something that they need to. That's exactly what it is. Fueling tensions that don't need to be fueled.
Right. But I will say, NFL, do yourselves a favor.
Yeah.
Clarify.
Yeah. It's like the optics are really bad on that one.
Yeah. That's the thing, you know? Like it's that's all it is. That's all I need to say. Antonio Brown deserved to get punished and suspended 3 games. What he did was wrong and stupid, and he may have to face jail time or a hefty fine from the feds when that investigation.
The guy's an idiot. I don't know. Like, guy's an idiot.
Yeah,
that's simple.
Yeah. So kind of keeping in theme here with all the idiots. NFL was stupid for not clarifying. Antonio Brown is stupid just for being Antonio Brown.
Right. Look,
and all of baseball.
It just comes back to the fact. Simple. These people do not live on planet Earth with us. It's a different stratosphere of mentality and thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. So bad optics. Go buy OptClicks. Teamclicks.com/Ray Carcillo. Clicks, lots of clicks. Click on twitch.tv/Ray Carcillo. Click on geekswholiksports.com. All kinds of clicks.
Yes. And just
there's your cheap plugs.
Search my name on Google.
Really?
Yeah, you can search Lee Elias. So I'm starting to come up. If you search Lee Elias hockey, I'm going to show up. If you search Lee MJ Elias, I'm going to show up. Yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff up there now. Not by my doing. It's just naturally happening. It's amazing.
Oh, that's what happens. It's still a little bit of that British cartoonist.
Yeah.
But the British comics artist.
The MJ or add hockey, it's going to be all that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Real quick before we leave, new Book of Boba Fett trailer came out today. It was phenomenal, really exciting looking. A lot of Star Wars stuff. Star Wars season is coming. I am excited about that. I was just telling Caitlin today. Caitlin started showing me the trailer, and I hadn't seen it yet. I legit squirmed out of my room and ran out of the room. She's like, I can't watch it. The only thing that turns me into a little kid again like that, it's not hockey, it's Star Wars. Star Wars will turn me into a little kid. I legit like squirmed. I was like, ooh, I ran out of the room. Right. So
holy cloud! I'm on a wiki. I didn't even realize. I just Googled my name.
Right. Welcome to Narcissist who likes sports.
Well, I Googled your name and I'm like, so now I'm going to Google my name.
I didn't ask you to Google my name. Everybody, we're going to do this live on the I am Googling Ray Carcillo right now. And there's a bunch of pictures of this guy, one of them with a lightsaber, one of them fake smiling, one of them really smiling, one of them passing gas. And the other one, that's just a picture of you. The other one is staring at me in a way that I don't like. You got several, your tweets are up here right away. Your IMDb is up here right away. What wiki are you on? I don't see a wiki here.
So if you go down towards the bottom, I'm on the dubbing wiki because of all the voiceover work I've done in animes and
dubbing wiki. Yeah.
Yeah.
There he is. Ray Draymond Armadillo is 36 years old, born April 8th, 1985 in Bloomfield, New Jersey. The American voice actor now lives in Los Angeles, and he's been active from 2013 till presently. His status is active, and his website is raycarcillo.org.
.com.
I know, it is raycarcillo.com. Yeah, update that.
Wow. Website. No, hey, I mean, I don't know. I didn't think I deserved a wiki, but I guess
Ray's having a week,
credits.
Friends. Ray's having a week.
That's
you know what to do? Ray Carcillo and Lee Elias. And let's see what comes up then. Look,
Caitlin wants us to search
Streamlounge and Streamlounge.
This show has gone off the rails as now we search producer Caitlin.
Caitlin will show up.
LinkedIn, yeah, her Twitter, her Instagram. Oh, her 2019 softball roster.
Yeah. So Caitlin has an NCAA record. I don't know if you know that or not.
I did not know that. Yeah. Congratulate. What's your record, Caitlin?
Caitlin holds a softball record in NCAA D3, I believe, for most consecutive hits at bat. Caitlin, is that correct? I think you have a hitting streak. Actually, Ray, it ended because an umpire called I think a strike instead of a ball that was obviously a ball. And then the ump apologized to her for the bad call. And Caitlin goes, that was like a record-breaking call, right? And he goes, yeah, sorry. But Caitlin Reese, our producer, an NCAA standout athlete catcher for Cairn University, and I believe holds a record. She said, I didn't strike out over the span of more than a season. And then I hit a bomb. That's right. She got struck. Or called her out next up at bat. She hit a bomb.
Nice.
Brazilians on and off the field. But you're quite the athlete, Caitlin Reese. Softball player at Cairn University, 4-year NCAA athlete. Little known facts here on the stream here.
Look at that. All right.
Didn't strike out for over the span of a season. That's incredible. It's a Karen. Is it an NCAA record or a Karen record, Caitlin?
She should go maybe coach for the Yankees and tell them to stop striking out so much if there's baseball.
Yeah, anyway. Well, by the time she gets there, they'll be using softballs. Oh no, they're the same size. Don't worry.
Oh goodness. Anyway, so now that we've talked about suspensions and lockouts and other stuff, that brings us now to our mashup.
Mashup of the week.
Yes.
Week. Mashup.
Yes, and of course it's been a video game heavy show, and also we just mentioned the Antonio Brown suspension. So the mashup this week is what video game character should be suspended, and what's the punishment? Lee, would you like to go first?
I've already got a perfect one, but I'm going to make a fun of what's going on now. So I'm suspending Bowser. All right, King Koopa. I'm going to suspend Bowser for 3 video games for being a jerk. But Mario is also kind of a jerk and also is kind of going around with Bowser. But instead of 3 video games, I'm just going to fine him 1,500 gold coins.
Okay.
Which Princess Peach has plenty of. So he's right back. He gets to get it right back. Yeah. It's not right. It's not fair. But in the Mushroom Kingdom, that's how the cookie crumbles, or that's how the mushroom crumbles. And again, King Koopa, he's done some bad stuff. He steals people. Although I like in the recent video games that he's kind of friends with Mario, like frenemies, right? And and then with the women empowerment, which is actually nice to see. Peach is like, neither one of you idiots own me. And Mario and Koopa are like, but what? That's how the game kind of ends. And then they dance. Yeah. No, King Koopa.
Everybody dance.
King Koopa is getting suspended for crimes against mushroomality.
Yes. Nice. All right. I just because of my experience today, I'm going to suspend the Master Chief. Because the Halo multiplayer needs to get into the year 2021. 20 years ago, Halo Combat Evolved was amazing. Halo has not evolved since Halo Combat Evolved.
Halo Combat unevolved, de-evolution.
Yeah. I'm tired of at this point 4v4 in multiplayer. It just doesn't exist. Why are we still doing 4v4 when everything is 5v5, 6v6? I mean, sometimes Call of Duty or Battlefield, you have massive matches with 12, 24, 48 people on a team, right? And Halo is still 4v4. It's 4v4. It's time to evolve. So my punishment for Master Chief is to put him into another game and send him to Smash Brothers finally, because that's what everybody's been wanting for forever, so that he can learn how to do a real multiplayer game. And he can fight with Mario, and he can fight with all of them and get his butt kicked. And maybe he can learn to have some fun before he comes back to Halo. And maybe he can learn to do some 5v5 or 6v6. Even Smash Brothers can have 8-person matches at this point. And that's a fighting game. That's everybody for them fighting for themselves. Casey says he disagrees in chat, and that's fine, Casey. I think Halo is outdated in its multiplayer, honestly, but that's me. So, Master Chief, you have to go to Nintendo for the next Smash Bros, and you'll be the last Smash Brothers DLC. And you have to go with the Smash Brothers. That's the punishment. That's what I'm doing. And you go.
So you want Halo? What was it? Evolved? What?
So I want Master Chief to go to Smash Brothers as his punishment because the Halo
called?
multiplayer has not evolved.
It was Combat Evolved. What was it called?
Yes, so Halo Combat Evolved was the first Halo.
Right,
this
so
is
you want,
Halo.
You want
Infinite.
Halo Combat Evolved.
To evolve. Yes,
To
I want evolved. I want Halo Infinite to evolve because it's Halo Infinite. It's technically not. It's Halo 6.
Halo
but it's
Infinite
Halo
evolved infinitely. So it sounds like we're making up
Sure.
a new Xbox name here.
Yeah, Xbox Series X.
But
anyway,
we want to know what you think.
You think. So yes, please comment below and definitely enter. Comment below. Let us know. You can be like Casey and you can yell at me about how
mashups. 135 mashups we've done.
Yeah, and 132 of them were from you. So
yeah, it's like 134, but that's okay.
It's something like that. It's most of it. It's 99%.
You've hosted every episode. I don't feel too bad. We are a good team.
Yes, we work together well. So there we go. But comment below. Let us know what you guys think for sure. Obviously, if you want to bash on me because I'm not like a Halo nerd, go right ahead. But like, all right, Casey. But yeah, no.
Yeah.
But let us know what you think. Obviously, we had a lot of baseball, football, hockey. We obviously had a lot of stuff going on with Hawkeye. Let us know your predictions. Let us know, what do you think about PlayStation Spartacus? What's going to happen with Spider-Man? So we had a really good show. We had a lot to talk about this week. But we've done it once again. We've landed the plane. We landed the plane. We are here. So for Lee, I'm Ray. Thank you all so much for listening or watching or however you find us. If you're here live in chat, we appreciate you hanging out on twitch.tv/Ray Carcillo. We'll be back again next week, then a week off, and then we're back again. So we'll be back with episode 136. But until then, this has been episode 135. Thank you all so much for listening. And until then, good night, everybody.